Good afternoon. This is the market recap for 2nd of August 2018 and some historic events today in the market. Generally, it was a quiet day, low volume, but there was some big winners, and obviously the big markets, after being down significantly, ended up quite strong, especially the Nasdaq. Dow was flat on the day, down 7 points. The Nasdaq, though, ended up 95 points. Up 1.24%, and the SPY was up 18. Well, yeah, up 18, up 0.5%, up 0.63%. So, but you can see this is the kind of day it was for the market, just a steady climb up, and this is a very strong chart pattern that we've been talking about lately, a lot about, and it's just staying in the trend. And if you stay in the trend, because the trend is your friend, you can ride the stock up and keep it going until finally it breaks below it. Now, it did actually end up trading above that, but you don't necessarily have to stick around for that. Once it breaks your trend, then you got to look for the new pattern to develop and just step aside in case it comes off. Of course, the historic event today is Apple trading 207. You can see it is $1 trillion market cap now, so 1,000 billion. Apple, first stock to get $1 trillion market cap. That's absolutely stunning. Anyways, as far as the trades go, we did have some great trades today. First, let me just start with the ones that were on the watch list last night, and that is ABUS. ABUS, I said, continues to flag, trading as high as 11.90, closing 11.85, over 12, and look for 13 and 15. So this is the 12 area here, and this morning it spiked right up to 12.60, but came back down just as hard, just as quick. So, there was an opportunity to trade it there, but you had to be very quick to get it. Then it made this coil sideways, and I was talking in the chat room. I said, you could buy this in the 1180, 1185 area, and, but if it breaks down, you've got to stop out below 1170, 1165. And so if you had picked it up in this area, or when it broke through this level, the $12 level, then it did trade back up to 12.40, I think. Yeah, 12 at a high of 12.40. So, there was a 30 or 40 cent move in the stock after it broke out again. Nice trade, nothing too dramatic, but still puts pennies in the pockets. The ARQL was the next one on the list, and it just ended up being a stock to watch because it never really hit the... Where is my ARQL? Must have been zone eventful. I didn't do the chart. Anyways, it never traded for us, so it never started for us, so we didn't do a trade on it. The other one that was on our watch list was CDNA. And the CDNA, I was looking for follow through, and over the 1460 area, it sold off right at the opening, traded sideways all day, and then came back and rallied at the close so it ended up just being a stock to watch as well, the CDNA. But one of the ones that was very good for us was this HIIQ. We said HIIQ, it is a thin trader, normally 300,000, but it traded 1.2 million today, 16 million in the float. Traded to over 38.40 we were looking at. So here's the area in here, 38.40 in here. But it gapped up from there, and not really an opportunity to get into it, but then it pulled back. And here was the first buy-in opportunity, right around $40. Right in around the $40 area. And it did trade up to as high as, in this move, well, let's say in here, $43. So it hit both my price targets. Obviously, the 40 was my first target, which we entered, and then 43 it touched. And then this thing, once it got in this trend, you could have stayed in this trend, and it did trade as high as 44.30. So, you know, nice over $4 move from an entry level from last night's watch list. That's a pretty good move for this stock. The other one is the LBY. LBY, I was looking for a move over 1093, and I had 13 as a target. This was the 1093 area in here, but it sold off and then came back up, traded to resistance. But when it broke out of this level here, the 1108, that was the entry level. And it did trade up as high as 1154. So, you know, even if you got off in this area, 1145, 1146, it was a nice, you know, 40, 50 cent move, you know, in the stock for us. And then it just traded sideways, but still, you know, it was a good trade, nice from the watch list. Then the other ones that I noted, which were pre-market alerts, was this DNOW. And the DNOW, I said, it was alerted at 1550, which was in here. Now this thing popped up and down quite dramatically, but here was the first pullback entry up here, and over the 1550. And I had targets of 16 and 17, which 16 it met, and then 17 it met, and it actually traded as high as 17, 18. So you had opportunities to get out at both my target prices on that one, and so a pretty good move. I mean, that's $1.50 move from the entry to the target price, so that was pretty good. This DXCM also was a pre-market alert, and I had said for DXCM to enter at around 118. I had 120 and 22 as targets, but you can see that this far exceeded that. This was the entry level in here. This first spiked to 125, came back, and when it broke above this sort of this base that it formed here on this volume and it popped, that would have been a good entry level. And then it just traded all the way up, and it traded up as high as 125.50. Yeah, 125.50, 125.65. So if you had stayed in the trend, you had a $6 or $7 move, which, you know, nice win for the traders today. One of the ones that Sonny was talking about shorting, though we didn't find any locates, was this NSYS. I mean, after hours, this thing spiked to over $9, $9.31. Then it made these tops here, here, and here. Those were all good indicators that this thing was ready to short. And if you had been able to get a locate on this, you know, you could have shorted it. Well, you would have tried to short it up here. This three tops, 875. And when it came off, it traded down as much as 450. So that was a big $4 move if you had been able to find the locates. Now that's, you know, I mean, some people did, I'm sure. I didn't have any, but nice. That would have been a very nice trade. Let's see. Talked about that. EXEL. The EXEL here, it was alerted in the chat room at 22:30 in here. So it had this spike up and then rolled over, and we looked for the first pullback entry up, which was here when it broke over this 22:30 area, and away it went. And it did trade as high as 23.22. So had a nice dollar add to it from, you know, from this entry level of 22.30 to 23.20, so 90 cents. And then it just got in this sideways downtrending channel, and that was the end of the trade for it from the long side. But from a first early in the morning trade, this is a good example of the first pullback entry up right in here. And then let's have a look at the 5-minute chart. So it rolls over. This is your first green candle. So when it makes a new high, which also happened to be the breakout, that was your opportunity to enter. And it traded up as high as 23.20. So a nice trade there. Ended up being a good trade for us. Now I'm going to look at Tandem. What can I say? I mean, it just is a monster. Tandem. Apparently they're doing a financing now after hours that they announced it, but this Tandem, I said over 29, which is in here. It broke out. This was again the first pullback entry up right here at the 29.70 range, and then this thing just got in a channel and channeled its way up, and you could have easily stayed in this trade all the way up into here, $32. You would have participated in the trade from 32 when it traded over 29. So nice trade. And this and then on a long-term basis, this thing is just such a monster. It's taking off again. It's unbelievable. The other one that we had also, which was a market alert, a chat room alert, was this HEAR. And in here I talked about it if it was breaking over this level. Well, it's been made this nice saucer, and it was trading close up to the top of the channel, but that was 30. I think we were talking about this at over $30 in the chat room, and it is a cup and handle here as well. Let's see. Yeah, it just when it broke over this level, that was the breakout, and it added on a couple of dollars for us. So, nice trade, HEAR was a good trade for us. Now, one of the ones that I got stopped out of this morning was this I was looking here for the first pullback entry op at the 21.79 with at least a trade back to high of day 22.70 and 23, but it rolled over and shook me out, but then did get back into this channel and did trade back up to the high of day. So some of the traders I know didn't get shook out, and they stayed in it, and they did profit quite nicely from that trade. And that's about it. This TLRD did trade down as low as 1960 today, so this thing is, I'm pretty sure, it's just going to continue to drift lower. If it breaks out of this wedge or out of this channel, then we'll probably look to cover, but just stay the course. And then the big one, another nice one for us today is this swing trade, is this Cool. You can see trading after hours 24.23, but we're in this at 20.30. I think it's number 20.30 or 20.60. So, and I'm looking for targets of 26 and 28 on Cool. And there you go. There's the recap. Thank you.